All right, guys, let's start on the floor with some of our floor lunge matrix just to get warmed up a bit. We do some of our floor stretches. Drop down to a knee. Let's make sure our back foot's slightly toed out so we're getting a little bit of internal rotation in that front leg. We don't want to feel like that back foot's turned in underneath our butt. So really focus on getting that foot to the outside. Drive those hands up overhead, and let's just start pushing through the hip flexor a little bit. Let's do about 3 to 5 good just pushes through the hips. And then we're going to work our way out to the side. So I'm going to point my toe outward. If it feels good, you can keep the toe pointed forward. It's just going to increase the stretch in that groin. Drop in, reach those hands straight up overhead. 3 to 5 reps, and then we're going to go back at a diagonal and start opening up the hips a little bit more into that external rotation. Oh, that feels good. Okay, we're going to do about 3 to 5 there. And then we're going to put that pattern together. Forward, side, and then back diagonal. Trying to keep as much weight through this down foot as possible or the down knee. So that way we're able to push pressure into the hip, squeeze the butt as you drive into each stretch. That's what's going to allow that hip to open up and get the glutes activated. Because guess what? We're doing some squats today. Beautiful. Switch sides. Again, make sure that back foot's not tucked underneath us. Let's try to really get to the outside of that leg. Good 3 to 5 drives just up overhead. Trying more to extend through the hips than through the low back. Good work on trying to get those elbows nice and straight as we're starting to move into this position with the hips open. Out to the side. And then back at that diagonal. Good, and then let's put that pattern together for about 3 rotations around, forward, side, and back. Woo, much tighter moving through this side. Good way to recognize, just based off of your workouts or your movements this week, where you're at in flexibility through your hips without allowing the foot to be involved. Just shortens our lever system last time around. Beautiful. All right, while we're down here, let's do a little bit of a retro quad stretch. So if you guys have something that you can use, it can be a wall, it can be a box, it can be anything, but we're going to go into a little bit of a hip drive, just like the one we did, but this time we're going to try to get our foot elevated up behind us. So if you guys can kind of see, I'm going to try to get my toe up on the wall, so I'm getting a little more flex of the knee, and we're just going to go through 10 good drives going right, left, and overhead. And that's going to increase the stretch in the quad a little bit more than the hip flexor, so a little bit more bend in the knee. Now, one of the really cool ways that we try to do this is the thought is that we're trying to get our foot and shin flat against the wall when we go into these positions. So I want to be able to get my foot on the wall, shin against that wall, and now I'm able to start working into an upright position. Okay? We're not there yet, but that's the goal and the thought of we need to work on getting some more quad extension. Let's go ahead. If you have a box, you can use the couch at home. Anything that just gets that rear foot elevated. If you guys have already worked through about 10, switch those legs. But this should be a slightly different stretch than what we started with. Just more isolated into the belly of that quadricep. Good. Like I said, if you guys haven't switched sides, go ahead and do so. Good. A little bit over that right shoulder, a little bit over the left shoulder. Start your breathing patterns now. Big, deep breaths. Good. Go ahead and finish up those last couple. If you guys have a box or something you feel more comfortable, if you want to get up off the ground for these next couple, we're going to do a hamstring drive. So hamstring drive can be up onto a platform, reaching forward across to the inside, or we can stay down on that knee into some of our field stretches, and we're reaching forward, inside, and across. Just look at that big stretch underneath the belly of that hamstring. If we're feeling a ton just behind the knee and the calf, try to relax your toe forward a little bit more. And then eventually you can start pulling that toe up a little bit more to drive a little bit of that nerve tension. Really want to warm those hamstrings up. Posterior chain is very critical in eccentric loading or stretching. Good, switch sides. Nice big deep breaths, proud chest up nice and tall. We don't want to fold over at the back. We want to feel like we're hinging at the hips, letting the chest just drive forward at the foot, not down towards the leg. Good. Again, try and take some big deep breaths in here. Don't hold your breath as you're going through the stretches, just creating tension and fighting it rather than allowing it to lengthen. Good job, you guys. Perfect. All right, last what we're going to do before we get up to our feet a little bit more is we're going to do a piriformis stretch. So there's a couple different ways that we can work on this one. You guys can go down into your pigeon pose. Is that something you're comfortable on the ground, which is just that 90 position of that knee and ankle, and then driving your chest forward to feel a nice stretch in the glute. We can also go onto our backs and work on pulling that leg across or pulling that opposite leg up to help assist to get that stretch in the outside of the glute. But let's go ahead and go for about 10. Good pull, and then relax. Pull, and I want you to pull at different angles so you can pull up towards the same shoulder, towards the chin, and then across the body a little bit more to get that lengthened outside that tissue, that IT band, those glutes. Grab the shin and rotate the leg a little bit for some pulls. You can see we're focusing a lot on getting these hips open today, a lot of trunk openers. Draw some circles with that hip flexor, that knee to the ceiling. Good. Now let's switch those sides. Again, you guys can be seated for this as well. All sorts of different positions to work into, whichever ones feel best for you, but let's just make sure we're getting these lateral tissues and glutes nice and alert and awake. Good, you guys. A couple more real good ones. Just pull nice and tight. Take a couple big deep breaths. Kind of let the weight of the leg just sink down to your chest, or your chest sink down to your leg if you're seated. Good. Go ahead. Finish up that last little bit. We're going to go up into our pec stretches now. So let's start opening up the chest a little bit. We got the trunk and the legs moving pretty well. So let's go into some nice big pec lunges. Find that wall. Find something that you can anchor onto. Maybe it's a partner. You guys can grab hands and push against each other. And then just slowly change those heights. But let's start just working that shoulder. Again, really aggressive as I come forward to squeeze that shoulder blade back and then get into extension. We don't want to feel that arm tipped forward or that shoulder tipped forward by the ear. Really open up. Use the weight of your body to find the stretch rather than trying to push the arm against the wall. Good. Take the head over the opposite shoulder. Make sure the jaw's relaxed, but get some rotation in that cervical spine. Good. On 10 time, let's go to the other side. You guys may choose to end up going back to a couple of these as we start talking through some of the workout or through some of other parts of the warm up. If you feel like you really need to focus on getting your chest, getting your arms opened up, or going back down to the floor and working on a couple more hip flexors or a couple hamstring drives, do so. Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody's moves differently. So let's focus on what we need to focus on. And then we'll crush it. Good job, you guys. Let's shake those arms out. Let's just go in some nice big arm circles. Let's let some blood flow to the end of the fingers. Open and close for a few. Top and bottom hand will exchange. Let that chest kind of fall forward. Let gravity take over for a few swings. Good job. Good work. All right, you guys, let's get moving nice and early today. Let me get my camera up just a little bit here so my head doesn't get cut off all the way. There we go. All right, you guys, we're going to drop down into our Spider-Man positions. We're going to do something a little bit different than our typical Spider-Mans today. We're going to do something, we're going to add in a little bit of what we call kind of the perfect stretch. So we're going to go into our standard Spider-Man position with our hands down. What we're going to do today is as we step, we're actually going to try to get onto our fingertips, sit back, and we're going to try to straighten our front leg as much as we can, and then drop your hips down into the floor. And then from there, you guys can add in whatever reaches and rotations you like. But today I want us to work on getting into more of that triangle position and then down into that Spider-Man position. And we'll alternate sides. A lot of the other movements will stay the same with a couple of slight variations. Let's start down in that Spider-Man position. Let's work on trying to get that triangle pose while getting into that Spider-Man. So here we go, hands down on the floor. Let's get ourselves nice and loose. We're going to step our foot to the outside of the hand. I'm going to push my foot down in the ground, try to straighten that front leg a little bit, and then drop my hips to the floor, and then into my Spider-Man. Good. Push into that nice straight front leg. That's some tight hamstrings. Drop the hips and turn. Good. Let's try to get one more in. We'll get to come back to these. Good work, you guys. Let's go down into our hollow position. So we're going to tuck it out. Right on those sit bones. We're going to alternate one leg at a time. So we're just going to open up one leg, come back, and switch. Starting to work on taking in a big deep breath. Really squeeze that quad at the end. Tighten down that core. Hands are supporting a little bit for that balance so we can start getting a little bit more extension, open up a little bit more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and up to our feet. We're going to go into some of our squats. So let's just find some mobility. We're going to drop down into that nice squat. We're going to push our hands into our knees and try to force those legs out. Okay, some of us that might be a little bit higher up and we're just pushing out this way and then dropping our butt in. Try to get those toes straight ahead for a couple. Shift that weight around a little, but let's just get comfortable in that bottom squat position. I got a feeling we're going to use some squats today. Good, stand, squeeze that butt as tight as we can, and then right back down into those motions, shift that weight around. Good, 5, 4, 3, 2. Beautiful. Next one, we're going to go into some good mornings. So we're going to go advance into our inchworms next. We're just going to reach forward. Nice stretch behind those legs. Stand and squeeze. Ready? Go. They call these good mornings when you wake up. You're supposedly supposed to be like, oh, it's the morning. But apparently, I don't know. I don't do that. I don't know if you guys do or not. You can start alternating right and left. Isolating one leg at a time. Slight bend to the knees. No lockout. We don't want to feel that kind of flamingo hyperextension. We want to feel nice, stable knees. Good. 5, 4, 3. Beautiful. Let's progress that. Let's go down into our inchworms now and try and push into that hamstring stretch a little more. Pedal the feet out for a couple. Walk the toes up. Big stretch behind the legs. And then walk it back. Good. Try to get into those calves for that first couple. And then walk it up. Shift that weight side to side. And then walk her back. Good. Let's get one more in. Good. 5, 4. And we're back to that Spider-Man. Same thing. Foot to the outside of the hand. Drive into that straight front leg. And then come back down into that stretch. Ready? Go. We may not get the leg straight. We'll feel the tension behind the knee. And then drive it into the hips. And switch. Ten more seconds. Beautiful. We're down onto our stomachs for our Supermans. Working on extension, really squeezing the butt, driving the pelvis into the floor. Strong inner thighs, top of the feet. And go. Good. Let's start working on kind of squeezing those shoulders down and back so they're not up by our ears. Really want to. If that means we have to pull our shoulders down behind us with the palms up or down, do so. Or maybe we're in a more of a cactus position with the shoulders squeezed back. Squeeze that butt, create strong tops of the feet. Hold tight, 10 seconds. Good. Squeeze that belly tight, tight, tight. 3, 2. Beautiful. If you guys have a weight close, let's add a little weight. We're going to go back into those squat holds, but adding a little resistance. Nice bottom position. Find your depth. Good. Trying to get your chest up. We're not feeling like we're bottoming out, like we're waiting around for a bus. We want to feel like we're sitting into our squat, nice and strong with tension of those legs. Stand and squeeze. Go a little wider. Push those knees apart with those elbows, even in that goblet squat. 10 more seconds. Good. 3, 2, and good job, you guys. Back up to our feet. Let's go into some nice hip swings. Just try to open those legs up a little bit. Work for about 30 seconds, alternating those legs. Ready? Go. Good. About 15 seconds. We're going to go outside to inside. Just get a few good ones. Pull those knees up a little bit higher. Outside to inside in 3, 2. Good. Switch. Go outside to inside. Closing down the hip a little bit more. Nice tight core. Good job. 5, 4, 3, 2. Beautiful. We're going to go into some posterior shoulder lunges, arm across the chest. We're going to go lunge, lunge, and then switch arms. Opposite side. Same arm, both legs, and switch. I want to take those into some lateral lunges. Same idea as I'm just pulling nice and tight. Maybe back at a diagonal. 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Shake those arms and legs out. Good work, you guys.